Throughout his election campaign, Donald Trump said he would build a wall on the border with Mexico. Now, President Trump has formally ordered construction to start.
Beginning today, the United States of America gets back control of its borders, gets back its borders.
In the past, Trump has said he'll make Mexico pay for the wall. In an interview with the US network ABC, he was challenged about that. Mexico's President Enrique Peña Nieto has said they won't fund the construction.
He has to say that. He has to say that. But I'm just telling you, there will be a payment. It will be in a form, perhaps a complicated form. And you have to understand, what I'm doing is good for the United States. It's also going to be good for Mexico. We want to have a very stable, very solid Mexico. Public safety in the interior of the United States.
In a second executive order, President Trump targeted so-called sanctuary cities, places where local authorities turn a blind eye to undocumented immigrants. In future, the order says there could be financial penalties for the states involved. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer has said there'll be more action on immigration soon. It's being reported entry to the US for nationals from 7 nations, all of them predominantly Islamic countries, will soon be limited.
I think the guiding principle for the president is keeping this country safe and allowing people who are from a country that has a propensity to do us harm, to make sure that we take the necessary steps to ensure that the people who come to this country, especially where areas that have a predisposition, if you will, or a higher degree of concern, that we take the appropriate steps to make sure that they're coming to this country for all the right reasons.
A high-level delegation from Mexico has arrived in Washington, D.C. to negotiate with senior Trump administration officials. It's worth noting that in the executive order the president signed, he's asked all parts of the federal government to detail how much money the US gives to Mexico. It seems pretty clear to me that if Mexico refuses to pay for the wall, Donald Trump may cut that aid. James Bays, Al Jazeera, Washington.
You're going to have to keep lying for him. If you voted for Donald Trump as a change candidate, you're going to have to keep lying for him. If you want to hold on to the idea that he was a protest vote as vengeance for Bernie Sanders, you're going to have to keep lying for Trump. Lying to yourself. If you're on YouTube, you're going to have to keep lying to your viewers. The idea that Trump was anti-establishment is, I guess it was absurd on the face to many people, but I get it. I understand the desperation of needing a hope candidate. I'm old enough to have voted in the 2000 election and felt the sore loss of Bush v. Gore. And I know the disappointment of the 2004 election when John Kerry lost as well. Being a progressive under Bush was a nightmare. George W. Bush was the president that I discovered myself politically under. It just makes sense. I mean, I was born in 1981, so the 2000 election was very relevant, and kind of the Michael Moore stuff started to become a sort of pop culture friendly free speech, and so that was me discovering my own politics beyond my parents' form of democratic liberalism. That's when I realized I was further to the left. And around 2006, the upswing of the Democrats reclaiming the lower houses in the wake of Hurricane Katrina and all of the suffering of innocent people during that event, we really were hungry for change. And so When Barack Obama came along, I drank the Kool-Aid. I really believe that Barack Obama, and particularly having been from an urban environment, I mean, for us, Barack Obama in the inner city represented something profound change. We'd never had anyone like him in power before, so we thought. Barack, recently out of office this month, I can't say the guy did nothing. But particularly between 2008 and 2010, my support for Barack Obama is what gave birth to the BronxBlogger, the nom de guerre that I use on YouTube and Twitter was originally associated with an actual blog. This was a WordPress blog that had a small following, but I guess a Bronx political commentator was kind of a novelty act. So that was the first time that I formally participated in the public political conversation. And the arc of the BronxBlogger is the arc of disaffected Democrats and Republicans facing the truth about Trump. I left speaking publicly about politics in 2011, 2012. I only was brought back in by the candidacy of Donald Trump, and particularly the skeptic community and the so-called liberals on YouTube deciding that Trump was going to be their grievance candidate as vengeance for Bernie Sanders. I was badly disappointed by the first 2 years of Barack Obama's presidency. I mean, it wasn't just me. I mean, all progressives were so deeply upset, and we just kept on lying to ourselves about who Barack Obama was and who the Obama administration was. And the first lie is, the Republicans are forcing him to do that. Untrue. The people within his own administration, the Reubenites, the legacy Clinton appointees, the legacy Bush appointments within the staff, and in the end, the buck stopped at Barack Obama. But we lied for him for a little while. Not blatant lying, not like sort of a Rush Limbaugh, Breitbart kind of lie. Just kind of like, trying to find alternative truths. Does that sound familiar to you, alternative truths? And then some of us stuck with it and became Democratic establishment parrots. A lot of those same people were around when Hillary came around to lie for her. Lie about what progressive meant, lie about what liberal meant. I voted for Hillary Clinton, but I knew that it was definitely a desperation vote. Not for change, but in the face of Donald Trump, I think a reasonable person looks at the status quo and goes, all right, this inverted totalitarianism, this soft authoritarianism under Obama, I guess we could maintain that as a status quo into the next 8 years. But that was derailed. Now we have to face the full-born beast. So Donald Trump, in the last week or so, has it even been a week? It's about to make a week. He must have he's written a phone book worth of executive orders. One of them was opting out of the TPP, which was already a dead trade agreement. Clinton knew it was dead. So don't take that as a victory. That's all formal. The real substantial executive orders have to do with the re-implementing of the gag rule for international funding, undermining aid to other needier countries, if they dare say the word abortion, if they dare support a woman's right to choose, they are going to lose money for breast cancer screening and all kinds of other really important shit like food aid, stuff like that. So, to be fair, he's doing what every Republican has done since Reagan, which was to sort of re-implement this gag rule. But I mean, he's made it much more severe, much more ruthless in terms of its consequences, because Trump is a kick you in the mud kind of bully. But you won't hear that. You won't hear that from the so-called liberals on YouTube, because they want to believe that Trump is change. They want to believe that Trump is hope. And I'm telling you that I have been down that road, and it doesn't lead anywhere constructive. It just leaves you washed out and cynical and disillusioned with the political system. Well, is it a bad thing to necessarily be disillusioned? No, I mean you'll be more awake, but it's such a fine line between cynicism, skepticism, and nihilism. Those things are so fucking close to each other, they're right near each other, that your disillusionment can lead to surrender. Being disillusioned with the political system should lead to more action, not less. The sooner you stop lying for candidates because of what they represent rather than what they do, the sooner you'll start acting for real change, because you will realize something very basic. That change does not come from the top down. Change comes from the street. It comes from the bottom up. It comes from you calling 10 people and then calling 10 people on and on until you have a demonstration and you make it politically unsustainable for the system to remain the same. Now, in your moment of disillusionment, is not the time to keep defending your ideals, even though reality doesn't line up with them. Now is the time to take your disappointment as fuel for it's going to be a long and difficult resistance. Take the L of the election, take the loss of what Trump was supposed to mean, and confront who Trump is. Because he is not playing.